Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
We'll have to edit that out.
I attended my first Comic-Con actually at Motor City Comic-Con in 2014, 2015.
Oh,
and
seriously?
It has, yeah, so...
Hey everyone, Mark here from the Fandom Outpost, and welcome back. Today I have a guest with me, Gabrielle.
Hi!
And we have a special edition, if you will, Motor City Comic-Con 2025.
It was a fun one this year.
Yeah, it was okay. We'll talk about that. But before we get started, as always, if you like our content, if you like this video, give a like to it. Hit the subscribe button because it always helps. Ring the bell as usual. Gabrielle, my daughter, she lives up in Michigan. I'm in Ohio. I don't get the big cons where I'm at, so we all decided to go up to the Motor City one. Motor City, as far as the Midwest goes, it's not quite Chicago, or I'm not sure if it's called C2. I'm not sure what it's called anymore. It's not quite Chicago, and it's definitely not New York, and it's definitely not San Diego. But they're good. They're not great, but they're good.
You were good. I'm waiting for you to be great.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into it. So,
well, I know we'll get into it. You know, you've
Yeah.
been doing Comic-Cons for many years and whatnot, but they were different when you were going at my age versus what I have been exposed to as far as Comic-Cons. And
Right.
I mean, I attended my first Comic-Con actually at Motor City Comic-Con in 2014, 2015.
Whoa.
And
Seriously?
so this year was about like 10 years of me doing it, which is why going as or dressing up as I did was so special, because I was basically
Cosplay.
recreating. Yeah, cosplaying.
So,
I was
folks,
recreating.
sorry to interrupt, Gabrielle. So, my family are hella cosplayers.
That's one way to put it.
So, everybody around work and everybody asks me, like, "Oh, are you going?" I says, "I am going." And they're always like, "Well, what are you going as?" So I says, "Oh, well, I'm a superhero. And my superhero name is called The Bitch. And my superpower is the power to be able to carry all the bags and take pictures when necessary and
Yep.
things like that." So that's
very important.
Yeah, that's usually mine. And it's not that I'm not, it's not that I'm not a fan of cosplaying. I just haven't found the right look or what I want to do. And my wife is always like, hear me out. If we do A, B, C, D, whatever, and then she'll gender swap it or do some other stuff. She always has these good ideas. Motor City Comic Con has two. They have a spring and they have a fall.
Yep.
So we tend to go to both. They always cosplay. My other daughter and my son-in-law, they usually do a couple one. And my wife is always, I guess, unique. She does some really out of bounds stuff sometimes. So
yeah, it always depends
things
on.
like that.
Sometimes we'll do group ones. You know, there was obviously that year Nikki and I, you know, we did our group ones and whatnot.
If we got a
Ariana
photo
did.
of her or my wife and Gabrielle as Shigo and Kim Possible.
Yep.
Amazing photo. And then that was the year that my other daughter and son did Vision and Scarlet Witch. And I just look like a turd because they all look great. So, but I go because of other reasons, which that's what we're going to do right now. So, like Gabrielle said, I've been going for a long time, and Comic Cons was always a place of, it wasn't necessarily, cosplay wasn't as big a thing, but it was cool. But it was where you met your creators, artists, and writers of comic books. So Comic Con, I couldn't tell you what year, but it evolved into an entertainment venue.
Yeah.
Where I guess you would have celebrities, stars,
costume contest
costume
too.
contest, a lot, just all this
Yeah.
where it's all, it really embodied pop culture. And whereas back in my day, I hate to say that phrase, folks. Sorry, it makes me sound like so old when I'm referencing stuff like that. Back in the day that I went, you would wait in. So, like, you would wait for Stan Lee, one of the creators of modern Marvel comics. You would like wait in a line for him. It'd be an hour long wait, and you have books signed and stuff like that. Now, you wait an hour long line for X celebrity star, and
Yeah.
your artists and creators are not as prevalent anymore. They might be located in an artist alley, or they might be have a booth somewhere and stuff like that. And we'll talk about a couple of those during this episode.
Yeah.
So, Gabrielle, why don't you tell us your experiences with Comic Con, and have you seen it evolve? Has it stayed the same since you've been going? Because I don't want to start off on mine. I'll just interject. So, what do you think?
Well, so I can't say I've gone, I'll say, to too many Comic Cons, but I just mean too many outside Comic Cons. I've done consistently Motor City Comic Con for the convenience of it being
In your
so close
backyard,
and
yeah.
in my state.
Yep.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, literally is in your
But
backyard. That's funny.
right, yeah, it's 10 minutes down the road
Yeah.
type of deal.
Yep.
But not only for the convenience, but because it's not one of those like I went to some kind of Comic Con in like Toledo one time, but it was not at all what I thought. Like I walked in and was like, oh, this is not
Well,
what
yeah.
we're doing here.
So
So
there's conventions, and then there's what I
yeah,
would refer to as Comic Con. So
right.
I went
So
to
it
one. Go ahead, keep going.
No, I was gonna say, so it definitely, my view is, I don't want to say skewed, but I am kind of like, I've never been to San Diego. I don't know if I'll ever go to San Diego. I've never been to like Chicago or New York, those really massive ones that you see.
Right.
And while I think Motor City Comic Con, and I'll get to it in a moment, has risen in ranks,
Oh yeah.
I'll say,
Yeah.
as years have gone on from what I've noticed, it's still one of those, you'll get people from out of state traveling for it, but not as much as you would some of the other ones,
Yeah.
I'll say.
Well, I was waiting in line for food, and I had a guy behind me, and Motor City was his home state, but
Yeah.
we just got talking because hella long lines. If you ever go to Comic Con for food, you're
Yeah.
gonna wait in those lines for an hour or two. But he
Mm.
was like, I've gone all over, and he was naming a bunch, and we were kind of comparing notes and talking, which was fun. And then he was like, but every time I come back home and I come to Motor City, the food, like the food concessions, is horrible. Not taste wise. He's like, just horrible. It's organized horrible. Everywhere I've gone has been really good.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I could verify that too. It's rough. The food lines are rough. I mean, the people, I'm sure they're paid. They look like volunteers. Some have a great smile, and some are like, you could just tell they're like, kill me now. I do not want to be here. So
Right.
yeah. And then, like, I live a little bit outside of Toledo, Ohio, and Toledo does a couple a year. They have
Yeah.
some shows. They're not, I wouldn't call them Comic Cons, but they have some other
Yeah.
aptly named ones, and they're not they're not even a thumbnail compared to even the Motor City one.
Yeah.
And Motor
I would agree.
City, wherever it's at, I don't know where it's at. I forget the
Novi?
well
Or
the
the Suburban Show Place?
yeah, the venue. It never even used to be there when I went to Motor City. Way years ago, it was in Novi, and it was in the well, I don't remember the name of it, folks, but it was a massive hall. I mean, massive. It was bigger than it is now, but I wish they'd find a bigger venue because, like, we went on Saturday. Gabrielle went a couple of days, but my Saturday that I go, it's because of a work thing and when I can arrange it and stuff. And Saturday is just packed. You expect it to be, and that's fine,
Yeah.
but it's packed. You know what I mean? And a
Right.
bigger hall would mean bigger people. So yeah, I mean, I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but Gabrielle, God love her, she stuck it out with me because, um, I guess when we get there, the family never has a game plan, and we actually talked about that. We're going to have a game plan this fall when we go back. And I will have better photos. I will have better video. I can guarantee it. So watch for one in the fall. But it was just, we lose everybody. You know,
Yeah.
my youngest daughter is pretty much, she's a diva, and they love their cosplay, and they're good. They look real good, and
Yeah.
they get stopped a million
Yeah.
times for photos and end up on the Facebook pages and stuff. So, you know, that's them.
Mhm.
They got to go and do their own thing, which is almost terrible because my son Chris is like, I want to see the show. There's things I want to buy. So it's hard for him to break away from being a media sensation that he is and
He just
stuff.
wants to
So
buy his dumb toys and
yeah,
then go sit out in the hall and play with
and
all
that,
of them.
nothing wrong with that. And Gabrielle, who's dressed as
Black Widow.
outstanding, and she looked really good. Got a lot of compliments, as you know, I, the bitch, would have to stand there and be like, hey, let me take a photo and stuff. Funny story, by the way, and we will, if it's, it'll be on screen. There was a really good looking Wolverine and Deadpool that were a team going
Yeah.
around. But
Yeah.
the pictures I got are good, but it doesn't do the justice of the chaos of me. Like everybody, I had 3 cameras at once, and
Yeah.
I'm laughing, going, "What the hell? Like, what am I doing?" But nobody else was. Everybody was like, "You touch that, take the picture here and stuff," and it was just a mess. Like I was like, and I'm like, "All right, let me put my phone down." I'm like, I still don't, to this day. I'm like, why did they give them to me all at once? It was very funny stuff. So
So, referring back, you know, when I see Chris and Ariana, you know, in that year they did Vision and Scarlet Witch, you know, and they were like, oh, everybody was asking our picture, and like we were stopped every 2 minutes, and I could physically see at one point how there was almost a line of people just to take their picture as if they were celebrities, and I remember looking around going, what the fuck is going
yeah,
on right
it was
now?
pretty funny.
So I think I don't want to say I've gotten used to it. So when people come up to me and ask for pictures, even though I cosplay for those reasons, not, you know, for my own enjoyment, but also because, you know, I do like the idea of people coming up to me and asking for pictures, it still shocks me when somebody else who is dressed up does it. So when the Deadpool and Wolverine came up to me and asked me for a picture first, I think I was so shocked that when they started handing you the phones, I backed out and was like, I can't help with this. Like I'm the
Yeah,
talent
it's
here,
kind of
and I
funny.
gotta get
So
my
yeah,
picture taken.
I do the best I can, and I'm really courteous and I'm really
Yeah,
professional, and I'll say, let me get a side one, let me get an upright one. Hey, before
yeah,
you walk away, can you check the quality? And one dude was like, man, I trust you. I'm like, it ain't about trust. I want you to make sure you got a good
right,
photo. You know, I want you to get a good
right.
photo and stuff.
In
So
the midst of all the chaos that is Comic Con, I mean,
yeah,
and you gotta stop in the middle of an aisle to take the picture and stuff like that. You got crowds building on both
right.
sides. You got one dude in the back going, "Hey, what the fuck is going on up there? I'm taking a picture. It's Comic Con." One
Yeah,
of those types
yeah.
of things.
And it never, and cosplay has evolved. It's evolved in the last probably 20 years, 15, 20 years. It's been
Yeah,
slowly becoming just this great pop culture art form.
yeah.
There is stuff, and you know, more pictures coming. I took a picture with a Darth Vader that was,
That dude was 8 feet tall.
yeah, he was so imposing, and he didn't speak.
Nope.
He nodded, but his the breath machine kept going, and it was
Yep.
so cool. And I was like, I was next to him. I was like, damn, I was intimidated by him. Like, I was like, man,
Yeah.
if you can imagine that, put yourself into the film mindset. You know, if that's
Yep.
Darth Vader and he's really like that, what an imposing
Yep.
figure. It was such a cool experience. I was like, damn.
Well, it was like that guy that was walking around dressed as the Ghoul from the Fallout series, you know, Walton Goggins' character. And I remember being like, that looks so cool from a distance. And then once we were at, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna ask him for a picture later. And then once I got behind him and saw him like walk past me, and I was like, oh, that's him. I was frozen. I was like, he looks so
He
scary
looked,
up
yeah, he
close.
was
Like
really,
he looks so good. Like he clearly spends so much time and energy and you know the makeup and everything, you know, his furs on the bottom going by.
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
when I went up to him, I don't know if anybody could really hear. I went up to him and was like, "Excuse me, sir, could I get a picture? Oh, but you can say no if you don't want to right
Yeah,
now." Like
he's
I was
nicest guy too.
legitimately,
Nicest guy,
he
yeah.
was. I even was like, "Wow, you sound just like Walton Goggins."
So
Don't know if that's like
I
a
heard you
on
say
purpose
that. Yeah, that
thing.
was funny.
Yeah,
Side note, folks. Like I first saw him I had to go to the bathroom. So I first saw him in the bathroom. Actually, I didn't see him. I went to the bathroom and I heard his spurs. I said, "Oh, those are spurs." You can clearly tell the sound.
Right.
I turned around. He was drying his hands. I was like, "God damn!" Like that dude. I was like, "Look at that." But I froze up because I'm like, I'm in the bathroom. Like I'm not. There's protocol, man. I'm not walking up and be like, "Bro, can I get your picture in the bathroom?"
Right.
And I didn't chase him out. I figured, we'll see him all around. But
Right. Yeah.
one of the things that we do enjoy, I know at least Gabrielle and I, and probably everybody else, is that we always, like when we sit down to eat, it's always like, "Did you see that? Did you see this one? Look at that."
Yeah.
Like,
When we reconvene and we can finally be like,
yeah, you
"Hey,
talk
did you guys
about,
see
yeah,
this person or this booth selling this thing and how sweet
yeah.
it looked?" That sort of thing.
And there's a couple standout moments. We saw, I wouldn't say a little girl, but I mean, in my eyes, she was a little girl. I'd say a
Yeah.
younger girl who was Winifred from
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus, and I thought she looked amazing. Like
She was
she
so
was,
cute.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
beyond cute.
Well, and
I
what
wish
was
we had
even
video.
better
I
is
wish,
whoever I know, I wish we would have taken more pictures and videos,
I
but I
know
think the chaos of it.
we
But
will, we'll
she
get
was
them.
walking around. I don't know if you saw. I think it was her. She was walking around with a McGonagall.
Was she with
It,
McGonagall? I don't know if
I
she
could have
was.
sworn I
I
saw the
don't
two
think
of
she
them. Too.
was, but
It might have just been because you see so many little children in such a crowded event, and whatnot. But
right.
there was a McGonagall there. She, older woman that was playing her strengths. Having her age and whatnot, and being like, "Yeah, I might get a couple wrinkles in my face," but she
Yeah,
wore
she was
the
killing it, man.
shit out of that
Yeah, she
costume. It
was
was
killing it.
so good.
And you don't see. So here's the thing, too. You don't see, so that girl's age that was Winifred, you don't see a lot of
Yeah.
that quality cosplay. And when I say quality, folks, I
Right.
mean somebody who went all in, not just,
Yeah.
I wore a spandex top, or
Yeah.
a spandex thing with my tennis shoes and stuff. And
Yeah.
God love those guys. That's a form of cosplay. Have at it. That's what you're doing there and stuff. I saw more adults with that kind of stuff than I did cosplays. But when I see a
Yeah.
little kid like that or a younger person and they're already indoctrinated in that, that's a lot of what the show is about. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
well,
people
that's what
watching.
happened. Yeah, on Friday I was walking around, and also I'll get to it in a moment. Every Comic Con seems to have some sort of theme almost, and it's hard to kind of predict. Sometimes you can guess, sometimes you can't. But this year was clearly like Friday. I went Friday, X-Men. The amount of X-Men characters on Friday
That's
was
cool.
insane. But that's because they had all the voice actors from the X-Men animated series and whatnot.
X-Men
So obviously it
97,
was,
folks.
yeah.
All the voice
So
actors are
they
there.
were bringing it. They were bringing their A game essentially. I got a picture on Friday with this girl who dressed as Jubilee.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm blown out of the water. That's awesome. But more importantly, there was this dad and this kid, his kid walking around, and his kid couldn't have been maybe a year old, but they were dressed as, I want to say it was Cable and whatever, Scott and Jean's baby and whatnot, or Baby Cable, I guess.
Cable and baby cable,
Technically,
yeah.
so Cable and Baby Cable. But that's what made it so funny is he's walking around his little stroller with his little costume, but like it was an actual costume, not just like a t-shirt, while Dad has his big ass Cable suit on. And I was like, that's the cutest and coolest thing I've seen.
Yeah,
And then
I
that
think that's
prompted
cool.
conversation of at what point do kids maybe be like, I want to dress up, and parents are like, I'm going all in, versus a parent's like, you're dressing up.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's an age where they can't even speak, so they kind of don't have a choice. Versus like you see that little Winifred and
Right.
go, hey, did she be like, was she kind of like watching Hocus Pocus and was like, I want to be Hocus Pocus going forward? And they were like, full send, let's go. Because there was no holding that costume back.
Yeah. We saw a lot. And we're kind of rambling about it, but I mean, we'll do the best we can to insert some pictures here and there. And what they've really become, where the money's at, because these are expensive shows to go to now, and is the celebrities. So let's talk about that for a little bit. The celebrities that show up, there are some big names, and there's some that cancel, and then there's other ones, and it's all personal preference. So
Yeah.
it's there could be some there that have no lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's some there that maybe your perception is that, wow, this is a really long line. There's 300 people in this line and stuff like that.
Right.
Jeremy Renner. So, you know, and I know that I had said that I probably would have liked to have met Vincent D'Onofrio and John Bernthal, but
Yeah.
they had to cancel. But I did get to meet a personal favorite of mine, an actor named Anson Mount, and he's known better now because my wife loves his TV series, which I do too. It's a Star Trek Strange Worlds, and but I used to watch him in a western called Hell on Wheels, and I
Hmm.
just thought, man, that show was great. Like I loved it, and I wish it would have had more than the paltry 3 seasons that it had. But it was on
Right.
AMC, and it was one of those groundbreaking shows, and I don't think AMC knew what to do with it, so
Yeah.
it didn't last very long. A lot of other stars in there too. He had a co-star by the name of Common. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a throwback joke between me and Gabrielle. So it was Common that was in there, and they were great together. Their chemistry was fantastic. Cole Meany was in there as well, and always great, and it just on and on and on. But anyway, so I actually, when we first got there, I wasn't planning on seeing any celebrities, but it changed when I saw him. Like you get that kind
Yeah.
of, wow, there he is. He's 20 feet away. So
Yeah.
I jumped in his line. We waited maybe 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and I didn't have anything signed. I didn't buy anything. Just walked up to him, fist pumped, and said, I loved Hell on Wheels, dude. Like, I love it. And my wife's such a huge Star Trek fan. She got me to watch Strange New Worlds. And I'm hooked now. And keep it up. I
Yeah.
think your work's fantastic. So,
And
brought a
I was
smile
there
to
for
his
moral
face. Yeah,
support.
yeah. It was a good smile to his face and stuff.
Yeah.
So, not that he needed that validation, but
Right.
also I will take this. I'm going to take a sidestep for a second. We're not going to talk about it. I'm just going to sidestep for a second and say this: man is stunning looking. Like he is cut jaw and everything. And Gabriel's got all story about it, but we're not going to do that. But like he's holy cow. Like when you think of actor and
Yeah.
actor. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Tom Cruise always comes to mind and stuff, but Anson Mount is cut and he is a
Yeah.
imposingly handsome guy. Like it's intimidating. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, and not sun beaten down and, he doesn't have leathery skin, stuff like that. But that's two guys in 2 shows, 2 years. Cause the previous one, which I didn't go to, previous one before that was Michael Bean
Yeah.
from Aliens and Terminator and all that, or my favorite
Yeah.
Tombstone. I was starstruck by that guy, so I was like, man. And I wasn't
That
even
and
gonna
that.
go. I wasn't even gonna stand in line. And
Yeah.
Gabrielle talked me into it. She's like, "There's nobody in line. Go up there."
Yeah.
So I was like,
It was that. It was that again. You see a celebrity 20 feet away. You see what that line's looking like, and you're like, I can change. I can make a choice right now. And that was making that choice. That is, I can make a choice
yeah.
right now, and I'm gonna
So,
make this choice.
and I don't do that. I don't get starstruck. I've met a lot of
Yeah.
celebrities in my life, as my family can attest to in the business that I was in. But I don't know. It was just cool to kind of do that and stuff. But there were some good names there, and I wish my wife would have taken the time to meet some. Robert Picardo is a huge, huge one for her, and Sean Astin. Come on, dog. I mean, I'm even surprised my daughter is being such a huge Lord of the Rings fan that we just didn't wait just to even
You know
shake the
what?
guy's hand or say
It's
hi.
it's it's because I have come to terms with, a lot these people cost money, a lot of
Yeah,
money usually. Now obviously you can go and wait, but time is money, I'll say. So it's,
yeah, I
if
know.
I spent money on a ticket, I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of my ticket and seeing
Yeah,
Artist Alley and all the vendors and stuff like that, because with the day like Saturday, with it being so unbelievably crowded, I mean, I don't think we even looked at everything on Saturday. You know what
no,
I mean?
and
So,
I attribute that though a lot to had some abdominal pain. I'm not going to talk
yeah,
about it, but
well,
it was weird.
it
Yeah,
happens.
well,
But
yeah,
either way, it's that, time is money too. So I've come to the big girl, fact of like, when I am going to be in the presence of said celebrities, as long as I'm like, they are in my line of sight and I see that they're human, as weird as that sounds, I see them interacting with people and just speaking, and they're
yeah,
not that huge figure on the screen
right.
and whatnot that I'm so like moved and intimidated by, and being like, wow, they are actor, extreme type of thing.
Tor.
I'm like,
I love it.
you know what? Like Sean, I saw Sean Astin from a distance. I was like, that dude's a dad if I've ever seen one. Like he was wearing a polo shirt, khakis, and some
Yeah,
sneakers,
he was
wobbling
relaxed
around,
as
stuff like
fuck.
that.
Yeah,
And
I get it.
I was like, you know what? That's my hero, and I respect seeing my hero from this distance. And I'm gonna let the people who have waited in line have their hero moment and whatnot.
Oh,
And I respect that.
absolutely.
It's the same thing with like Bryce Dallas Howard. I was like, we redheads see each other 20 feet away from her. I was like, awesome. Moving on. Like,
Yeah, that was
just
cool.
come to that
Yeah,
fact.
that was a cool moment. That guy had that shield was pretty good. I don't know why it popped in my head. That guy
Oh my
had
god, yeah.
the
As
shield.
we were waiting in line.
There was a guy that had a really good steel Captain America shield or metal.
Just
And
everyone's signature.
yeah, and he not only did he get
Everyone.
like superheroes, he would just wait in celebrities line and have him sign his shield because there was other
Yeah.
people on there and stuff. But it was a
Yeah.
cool moment. The artist alley that Gabrielle just mentioned, it's a lot different. There's a lot of people that hawk their wares, and that is not a negative term. It's we
Yeah.
looked at a lot and we were like, man, it's got to be brutal. Some of these people, like, how do they earn a living and stuff? A Comic Con's got to be a really good place for them to get those wares out there and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, not unlike like Ultra Sabers, who were that was the first year that I think they were there. If they were there last
Right.
time, I didn't know because I didn't make the last one. But
Right.
anybody knows Ultra Sabers? I mean, you see them all over social media. They're kind of the equivalent to the Disney brand, but they make their own in different shapes and sizes and stuff. They had a whole corner booth that was, holy cow, was it phenomenal and stuff. And they had that whole one wall was just lit up lightsabers, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So I would actually, my game plan was I actually went for comic books this year, and I didn't get to because I was feeling under the weather. But we saw a lot of stuff, and two of my favorite creators were there: Jeff Loeb, who's a writer, and Greg Land, who's an artist. And I got to meet both of them, and
Yeah.
I was surprised at Greg Land because he had nobody talking to him. Greg Land is known for he does a lot of very gorgeous women was what he kind of came to be known as. But way back in the day, way back in the day, he did a series called Sojourn, which was a Tolkien-esque Lord of the Rings fantasy type thing. Drew, and the whole series, he stayed on it except for an issue here and there. And I loved it. So I talked to him about that and stuff. I mean, he works for Marvel now. He's freelance now, though.
Yeah.
He told
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Yeah. He said he was kind of just freelance and doing his own thing and kind of just waits for a call
Wait
by
for
the
a call,
phone
and they
kind of
do
deal.
covers now and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. I really, that was a box to be checked. I really have followed his work for a lot of years, and then I got to meet Jeff Loeb. I guess I would say a writer's hero. Like Jeff Loeb, if you don't know, Jeff Loeb is responsible for crafting a couple of the most influential and popular Batman stories of my time, of any
Yep.
time actually. The Long Halloween being the number one. And also, side note, he did a series called Superman for All Seasons, which is a lot of what James Gunn is drawing from for his new Superman movie. So I recommend going out there, folks, finding those two things and reading them. But The Long Halloween is really something special, along with artist Tim Sale. So, but I won't share that story here. So
I think just my perspective on it. So, it's different meeting celebrities for you versus meeting celebrities for other people, and it goes back to the Michael Bean, Anson Mount, Greg Land, Jeff Loeb. It's these are obviously not people. They're people I know, but they're not to my degree of what I would consider like I gotta meet that person. It's not like when I waited in line for Matthew Lillard and that was the whole thing, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm gonna piss my pants
yeah,
excited
that
type of deal.
wow,
That man, influential to me.
right,
But
I got you.
to see somebody else interact and to be like that cool person in the corner and just be like, yeah, it was nice meeting you, Mr. Celebrity person. It's really weird, talking to Michael Bean on a level that wasn't like fangirling, whereas you were just like, I don't know what to do or say right now, or even talking to Greg Land and him like explaining, yeah, he's doing freelance, and you trying to stumble over yourself and be like, man, I so appreciated your work here,
Yeah,
and I really do this,
you get
or
tongue tied, man.
talking
You
to
do.
Jeff, and
So
you're trying to I think it's funny being when you're in the moment. I feel like you black out a little bit in
oh
certain things where
yeah,
this
I
the
could see
adrenaline
that.
is pumping.
Yep.
So when when we finally got up next in line, with Jeff, and he was like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, Mark, and blah, blah, blah. And the lady helping next to him was just like, yeah, he's going to get a little doodle. Yeah, the book you pulled out and set on the thing, he just was like, Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
brought
And I
my.
couldn't tell if he was
I,
like, wow, holy shit, or wow, like, yeah, I haven't seen this maybe in a hot second. That's kind of
both. I'm gonna
crazy.
say
Like,
both. Folks,
it was one of those to see even him humbled. Maybe it
yeah.
was extremely
Well, I
funny.
brought my. It's called DC Absolutes. I brought my Absolute Long Halloween. It's a book that in screen is probably about that big, by that wide, and it's literally that thick.
Yeah.
They're the equivalent of like omnibuses for like Marvel and stuff, but yeah, I had to carry that around in my backpack all day. That was the worst experience ever, so I won't ever do that again. But when he pulled that out, I was like, I'd be honored if you would sign that and stuff. So he did, and
Yeah.
even drew a little picture of the Joker in there, which was funny,
Yeah.
even though he's not
That
an
was cute.
artist. But yeah, so it was just one of those things to be like, I'm a teenager again.
Yeah.
The first con I ever went to was me and one of my other partners, Jim. We went to Chicago one year and we did the full boat. I think we went for 4 days. We flew
Mhm.
out there, which is weird. It takes an hour, so it's weird that we flew, but I've since driven it, but given our location to it. But we flew and man, it was amazingly incredible but we brought all these comic books to have signed and bought all this crap and it was just great and wait 4 hours to see Stan Lee and stuff like that. To me it was a type of experience that I can't duplicate. So I think
Yeah.
Gabrielle's the next generation that what she's going to get out of it is going to push these shows to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
but we had a good time.
Yeah.
So I think everybody did. My son kept asking me, "Did you have a good time? Did you have a good time?" Because at the end, I was wrecked. So
Well, I think what's even funnier is yes, we had a good time. There is absolutely no doubt about it, and I think we pretty unanimously agreed like this was probably the best year. Like just because we got the
yeah, it
most out
was.
of it.
Yeah,
It wasn't the best year because we got pictures the most, or we got pictures taken of us the most. It was we were able to do all the things we did and enjoyed the most out of it. With our costumes, what we got, what we saw, all the interactions we had, stuff like that is what made it,
yeah.
the best, which is obviously, what's important. But what's even better is when we got, it's that after con moment where everyone's like, oh, 2 seconds to relax. Oh, but we've had adrenaline pumping through our bodies all day. We haven't
Yeah.
really eaten except for like gross, like con food. So we need to go
Well, it's
out to
not
get
gross.
something.
Their food, some of the food is really good. I don't want to give that impression. So, and they
But
had food
it ain't no
trucks.
top tier.
Nikki ate the food trucks. I didn't know they had food trucks out where she was at. I
If
lost
I
my
would have known
wife.
that, that would have been a whole different game.
So, folks, I lost my wife about 30 minutes in. It's my fault because I wanted to go see Anson Mount, but she did her own thing. And I don't know how she made it through the con because she was literally dressed as which we'll have pictures. They should be on screen now. So why don't you tell everybody what she was dressed as?
She was the one and only Macho Man Randy Savage. Equipped with Slim Jims and some creamers for convenience and
Cream
whatnot.
always rises to the top. Unbelievable, dude. So I mean, we weren't in there 5 minutes, and everybody was like, "Pow, pow, pow, pow."
Yeah.
But she sells it. I mean, she
Yeah.
she sold that role. So I wish I would
Yeah.
recorded dialogue with
I
her
know.
doing that because and people will come and be like, "Man, I wish that you know what this looks so good. The only better would be like if you had a Slim Jim," and she'd be like, "You mean
You mean like
this?"
this?
Yeah. I wish I had those recorded, folks. Like it's
I
unbelievable. But
know.
all you guys are
That's so
great.
good.
All your stuff was good. Finish your food story, and we'll wrap it up with that.
Well, so we were joking because, we had all kind of tried to degarb as much as possible to be like, yeah, let's go out to eat, and we go into the restaurant and it's, dead quiet in there and everyone's looking at us because we got the makeup, we got the hair and stuff like
Oh,
that. And
my
they're like,
youngest
what the
daughter's got a
hell?
green face because she was
Yeah.
Gamora.
So they were kind of like, oh, what the hell?
So
And then
yeah,
everyone took a second and were like, oh, Comic Con is in town, right? And that
yeah.
somewhat normalized it, but it was
The
funny
owner
because
said that when we
Ariana.
first walked in, didn't he? He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
Comic
something
Con."
like that.
Yeah.
But it was funny. I took a like sneaky picture, and I feel like I should have maybe asked our waitress to maybe take a better picture.
Oh,
Where
right.
Ariana started laughing, and she was like, you know what this really reminds me of? Because we were all exhausted, just silent eating, like the Chinese food and whatnot. She was like, you know what this really reminds me of? You remember how at the end of the Avengers they get shawarma and they're so
And they're
tired,
just
they're so
quiet. Yeah.
just silent while they're eating. And so I took a picture of essentially our shawarma moment of just everyone is dead tired,
Yeah,
but
it
that
takes it out
Chinese
of you.
food is so good.
Oh,
Like we can only have enough energy to eat it, and
folks,
then we're done for.
shout out to China Star Palace in Westland, Michigan. I've been going there since I was a young boy because my mother, her grandmother, started me on that. And then as they got older, my mother loved it. So I will never not have China Star Palace while I'm up visiting Michigan because it's the best
Yeah.
Chinese food I've ever had. So,
Mhm.
and super friendly staff. And it's weird because I grew up and the owner hasn't aged. Like
No.
he's draining the life of, small children so he could stay alive. I'm just kidding. Because he's like, wow. But that's what we
Right.
do. So we grab that at the end and stuff. And our
Mhm.
experience is really good. I think everybody
Yeah,
has
it was good. A
experience
good
here.
way to round out an already good day, essentially.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that's our Comic-Con experience. I'm sure there's a few more stories in there, but maybe we'll save them for another time. And I feel that it has become the evolution of any Comic Con has now become, of course, everybody probably knows this, unless you've been living under a rock, is a pop culture sensation. Obviously, if you go out to San Diego, you're going to get the infamous Hall H, with whatever they're going to show up, if Marvel shows up or DC shows up or whatever and stuff, or what celebrities are going to show up, things like that. I there's a couple other stories about walking past some stars, and I just looked at them and I was like, oh, he blended right into the crowd. 30 feet away,
Yeah.
he disappeared. I was like, oh, look at that. Like they wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
They just blend in. It's awesome. If you're not at that
Mhm.
table, you might not recognize that stuff. But
Mhm.
I still enjoy a Comic-Con experience. I still enjoy it because I'm a kid at heart. You can see all this behind me. That's the thing that I really love. I'm sure she has her own thoughts on it, and she enjoys it because great cosplaying. I think that that is the way to go. That is the future. Dressing up and
Yeah.
going in there. And at least one time before I shuffle off this mortal coil, I'm going to have to get in some kind of costume and embody the role. I also think it's cool that uh, when you go to get somebody's picture, they always have a pose in mind. I did pay
Yeah.
attention. I saw that with with Gabrielle, and she does the same thing as Black Widow, and then the Wolverine and the Deadpool. Like everybody's kind of got their own thing and stuff. And we're definitely
Yeah.
going to post the photo of the cheese moment that Gabrielle had with the Witch King of Angmar. So
Well, first of all, there were two of them,
yeah, I
and they
know,
were husband and wife. If I would have just caught him at the same time,
I know,
that
and
probably
calm
would have
down.
been game
I
over
know,
for me.
but
But
that was
that's one of
cool.
those
Yeah,
almost dream cosplay moments where you see it in action and
right.
you're like, man, that's just like I feel like a little kid again watching that on screen, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know
that
how to
was
tell you,
great.
I could cry at your feet right now just because it makes me feel like, oh my god, it's in front of me. That sort of deal.
And hats off to the vendors and stuff who are selling unique things. There's a lot of stuff. If you've never gone to a Comic-Con, it is definitely worth it. Pay the money, get your tickets in advance because day of show is always more expensive.
Yeah.
So just take a trip out there and give us your final thoughts, Gabrielle, so we can take it out.
I think Comic Con has a lot of room to grow. It's been growing ever since I've started going over the 10 years. And I know I kind of mentioned it earlier. My first one being Motor City, and my first official cosplay, was actually Black Widow and whatnot. So it was really special this year being able to consistently upgrade my costume and stuff like that, and go as a really good
Oh, whoa,
version of
whoa,
Black
whoa.
Widow.
Sorry to interrupt, but she had something, folks, she had something else planned, and a big, giant corporation did not get that costume to her in time. I'm not going to say the
But
name of that.
it worked out because I saw a lot of those costumes there. But who was the only Black Widow?
I know,
This
dude,
gal right here.
and she
At
had
least if
people
there was
coming up.
another one, I didn't see
Yeah,
him.
and a lot of people were very complimentary of her Black Widow. Like they were like, "Man, it looks really good."
Yeah,
And
worked out.
sorry, I should tell this story real quick. I can't believe it eluded me. I was in a booth. I was looking for a comic book, and I was talking to a guy. And Gabrielle was on the outside of the booth. She's way over there doing something else. And I'm in there, And I'm like, I'm trying to get an opinion. And Gabrielle's maybe, I got to give her 20 feet away. And I'm like, Gabrielle, I'm shouting. I shouted a minimum, it had to be 5 times. And it got to the top of my lungs. And she just, I don't know what happened. It was a perfect storm of events. But the guy at the booth was like, Natasha. And she looked at that moment, but maybe he was louder than me. It made for just a really funny, great moment that like I got that as a memory. I'm like, that's great. Like it's just fantastic. So all
I don't
right.
know what happened. I locked right back in.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
we're gonna end on that, folks. So that was Motor City Comic Con 2025 spring version, I guess.
Spring. Yep.
So and we'll try to
Spring edition.
catch up with the fall version as well.
Yeah.
Let us know any of
Maybe my
your
costume will finally come in. Who knows?
oh my god. Has it
maybe.
yet, or they just say no, it's gone?
I'm pretty sure it's gone. We've been
Damn.
making the joke that it's probably been taken over by pirates at this point, so you know.
Wow.
It is
Okay.
what it is.
But well, we'll see how the fall one goes and stuff. We'll definitely have a different game plan, and we'll have more pictures and video and stories and stuff. So, and then maybe, just maybe, I can get the other members to come on air with us and do stuff. So that'd be kind of cool. But folks, I really would love to hear your Comic-Con experiences, good, bad, celebrity, artist, writer, interaction with fellow cosplayers, anything like that, man. Let us know in the comments. And as always, like, follow, subscribe. Everything helps the channel, and hopefully it's content that you enjoy, and we'll keep putting it out. So we'll see you next time on the channel. Adios.